What's going on, my fellow wealth creators? Matty Ice here. Welcome to another training. Today, we're going to answer the question, is cash value whole life insurance a scam? Obviously, it's not. And if you just want to stop there, you have your answer. It's absolutely not a scam. And I made another video about infinite banking, whether or not it's a scam. It's not. And I wanted to do one on the vehicle that we use for infinite banking. So infinite banking is the financial strategy that we implement in our lives. And the cash value whole life insurance policy is the vehicle that we use. And I got into a pretty good back and forth with somebody on one of my other videos. And that's kind of what inspired me to do this, because in the end, he called it trash value whole life insurance, which all that says to me is he's probably some type of advisor that follows Dave Ramsey, buy term and invest the difference, 401ks and all that stuff. Nothing necessarily wrong with that. But it's always interesting to me when people throw out the word trash or scam or whatever it is to make something sound bad, without providing any facts, any information, nothing they say makes sense, just in order to encourage people to do whatever it is that they recommend. And that's what I really have a problem with a lot of times with this stuff. Are there bad actors out there that will sell you policies and set policies up that are not designed for cash value? Absolutely. And you got to watch out for that. But, that stuff is pretty easy to avoid when you understand what you're putting your money into. All right. Just because things have not worked out for some people in the past and continue to do so doesn't mean something is a scam. Just like IUL. I don't think IUL is a scam, even though I'm not a fan of it, regardless of how you design it. But a lot of the times they're not designed properly. And my biggest issue with that is that people don't know what they're putting their money into. And the way that it's illustrated, presented, and sold to people is where I have the biggest problem with IUL. I would never purchase an IUL. I think they're pretty pointless. I think there's a fantastic whole life alternative that gives you upside potential, downside protection. But all of that, what I just said, when I say IUL is, or when I talk about IUL and I don't recommend it, I do think it's kind of a trash product the way that it's designed. A lot of times, if it's set up properly, can it work? Yes, but most of the time they're not. But when I say stuff like that, I back it up with information, like how the product actually works, how design works, the risks that you have to be aware of, certain terminology you need to be aware of so that you don't get taken advantage of, and also so that you have the information you need to make the best decision for yourself. So even though I'm not a fan of IUL, I would never tell somebody to never buy it or that it's a scam. It's just a product that has different ways that you can set it up based on what your goals are and what your financial situation is. Okay, doesn't mean it's a scam just because I don't like it and I don't agree with it, right? And I don't like when people throw those terms out, because it can really discourage people from researching what could potentially be a really powerful financial product in their lives that could have a really positive impact. But they don't do it because they have the term scam or trash or whatever associated with that particular product. Now, I am guilty of calling IUL trash because a lot of the times that it is. So I'm not saying I'm perfect or anything, but a lot of the times, you got to be really careful with stuff like IUL. Now, the argument would be from the other side is that you got to be careful with cash value whole life insurance as well. It's true to a certain extent, but it's a different argument because a different type of conversation, because even if a whole life insurance policy is set up incorrectly and it's 100% base or like a really high base, so the agent gets a very high commission. Granted, you don't want to set your policy up like that. You absolutely could have done something better. Over time, though, it will bail itself out and it will be there to provide and still provide benefits to your life. With things like IUL, you have to be a lot more careful because you have the rising cost of insurance and all these other things that can go wrong, right? So it's a different conversation. But my point is, doesn't mean any of it is a scam, and it doesn't mean that it wouldn't possibly be a good financial decision for you in your life based on your goals. You have to have all the facts and information about it, though. And so I want to show you a conversation I was having with somebody on one of my other videos. I think at the end of the day, he just didn't like the way I described something. It's not that, like, he said I was deceiving and misleading, misrepresenting, I was scamming people, lying, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's really interesting how emotionally charged these topics are. Difference between IUL and whole life. The difference between cash value life insurance and buy term and invest, the difference when you listen to people like Dave Ramsey or Susie Orman, which I'm pretty sure this gentleman was a big follower of, because he calls this trash value life insurance or whatever. Usually comes from people like buy term and invest the difference people. But a lot of the times when they say that stuff, they have no idea what they're talking about. They don't understand that you can design a policy in a very specific way to have super high cash value your first year, which is exactly how I set my policy up. You have a very early break even year. My policy is set to break even in 3 to 4 years. All right. It's growing by more than what I put in by year 2. I can borrow against the policy, do amazing things with it, which I've already done. I just consolidated all of my mother's credit card debt. I purchased a vehicle, so I eliminated the lost opportunity cost of that. My money is still, like, even after I borrowed against the policy, that money is still growing inside of that policy. What about that is trash? What about that is a scam? I suppose the argument is that, oh, well, you can get a better return, rate of return. But that's a whole different conversation. It doesn't mean cash value life insurance is a scam. It just means that, okay, maybe you can get more if you more rate of return if you invested in the stock market. But now we're only talking about one aspect of this vehicle is rate of return. And you don't set policies up, infinite banking, cash value, whole life insurance policies up for the rate of return. That's just a bonus. It's all the other benefits that you get, all the things that you can utilize the policy for in your life. That's where all the benefits actually come from. So to call it trash and call it a scam, that's just absolutely ridiculous. So I want to share my screen here really quick. I'm going to go through just part of the conversation. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I would encourage you to check it out. I'll link to the video in the description. Go to the comment section. It was really entertaining. But basically, in this video, it's called 5 Stupid Myths About Cash Value Whole Life Insurance Debunked. All right. I strongly recommend you guys watch this video too. There's some really, really good stuff in here. And I was basically breaking down another YouTube video that I watched that, oh my God, some of the things this guy was saying, they were actually very misleading, very inaccurate information. It's interesting that the gentleman that I had this back and forth with didn't mention any of the misleading information in this video that I was breaking down, but whatever, I digress. But basically, one of the reasons people say cash value life insurance is a scam, you'll hear this from Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman, et cetera, is that when you pass away, the evil life insurance company keeps and steals your cash value, which is absolutely ridiculous. Anytime somebody says that, it just, the only thing it shows is a very, very fundamental misunderstanding of how life insurance actually works. Here's the simple breakdown and the way I tried to explain it. Like in the video, I talked about the cash value essentially being baked into the death benefit. I think that's what he really had a problem with. It wasn't that I said anything that wasn't true, because it's not. He wanted to see, like, what carrier are you using that specifically says that in the contract? I wasn't talking about a specific carrier. I was talking about how life insurance works in general. This does not change from contract to contract, from carrier to carrier. This is just how the death benefit works. And if you take the cash value, when you pass away, when you calculate the cash value, or you see the cash value, you add the net amount at risk to the cash value amount, that equals the total death benefit. So you could argue that when someone says, what happens to your cash value when you pass away? Well, your beneficiaries get it. Does it technically say that in a contract? Does it technically work like that with a specific carrier? No, this is just how life insurance works. Cash value plus net amount at risk equals the death benefit. That's how you calculate it. How do you get the net amount at risk? Well, you take the death benefit minus the cash value. That's the net amount at risk to the life insurance company. But if you take that amount, add it to the cash value, that equals the total death benefit that your beneficiaries receive. And because it's a death benefit at that point and not just cash value, it gets passed on income tax free. It avoids probate, all the benefits of life insurance. He was not having it. He just kept harping on the fact that I wouldn't provide a carrier because I wasn't talking about a specific carrier. I was talking about life insurance in general. But his problem was what happens to the cash value. I think down here, where does he? He says keep it. Okay, here it is. Okay, let's keep it simple. You state myth number 5, evil life insurance company steals your cash value when you pass away. My question, what happens to the cash value when you pass away? Let's see your answer. The company gives it to your beneficiaries plus whatever the net amount at risk is. This equals the entire death benefit. That's essentially what happens to it. Now, if you were to look at how the money is actually moved from the general fund or whatever fund is paying out the death benefit from the life insurance company, Are they, is it like on their balance sheet, cash value plus this total death benefit, whatever? I don't know. Probably not. But if we're just using common sense about how life insurance works, like this is how the death benefit is calculated. Cash value plus net amount at risk equals the death benefit. So you're asking me what happens to the cash value? Well, the life insurance company adds the net amount at risk to whatever the amount of the cash value is. That equals the death benefit. They write the check. So aren't your beneficiaries technically receiving the cash value, right? But also, here's the thing: is there's a big difference between cash value and death benefit. The cash value represents what you would receive if you surrendered or canceled the policy, and then also it represents like how much equity you have in the contract, like how much you can borrow against as well. But once you pass away, the only thing that matters is the death benefit. That's what gets passed on to the beneficiaries. But how is that calculated? Well, cash value plus net amount at risk. And then at the end here, he calls it, was it trash value trash value insurance, hold me accountable, blah, 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 blah. I didn't say anything that was incorrect. I actually confirmed this with multiple carriers. So whatever, dude. But as soon as I see trash value life insurance, that's where I'm going to assume, I think safely assume that this person follows the likes of Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman, dump all your money into your 401k, a safe portfolio of bonds and, stocks or whatever. Again, nothing wrong with that. I'm not a fan of that kind of stuff. I like alternative investing, but whatever works for you. I'm not going to say that buy term and invest the difference is trash. That might make sense for some people. It just doesn't make sense for me. But, when you say stuff like this, guys, look, I'm all about open debate. Heck, if you want to jump on the channel and you want to have a conversation about this, drop some comments down below and we'll set it up. We'll have some fun. Because I think those things are actually productive. Like this could have been a really productive conversation, but he was so emotionally charged about it and did not back anything up with any facts or whatever. He just kept saying, you're twisting this and you're saying that, blah, blah. Back it up, man. What are you talking about? Why is this a scam? Why is this trash? And if you can provide facts about that, I'm all ears. But my own personal experience, these policies are absolutely fantastic when you set them up correctly, right? And at the end of the day, guys, cash value life insurance is just a tool, just like investing in real estate, I guess you could say, or maybe a better example would be a 401k or an IRA. They're just tools, right? I'm not a fan of them, at least not right now, not in my current financial situation. I'm doing lots of other stuff. But for some people, those vehicles make sense, all right? But just because I don't agree with them, because I don't like them, am I going to call them trash or a scam? Maybe sometimes they could be trash. It depends. But it doesn't make it a scam. It doesn't mean that it's not right for some people, right? But if I were to have an issue with that stuff, bring some facts to the table. Why do you have an issue with it? Instead of like saying that I'm misrepresenting it, something, tell me what you disagree with and then back it up with some facts, right? Because at the end of the day, these things are just tools, guys, and it comes down to how we utilize it in our lives and also what our own specific goals are. And do these specific tools make sense for us to help us reach our goals, right? Those are the questions that we want to ask ourselves after we understand how the product actually works, okay? And the last thing that I will wrap up with is, it's interesting when people say that cash value whole life insurance is a scam when there's so many benefits you get from it, especially when you design it properly. High cash value, it's low commission to the agent. That's exactly how we set up all of our policies here. So if you want to have a conversation about that, I'll have a link down in the description, book a call, free infinite banking coaching call, see if it's right for you. But, when you think about all the benefits that you get from these policies, you get uninterrupted tax-free compound growth at 3 to 5% for the life of the policy. I think that's pretty good. That's a pretty good savings vehicle right there. Is that why we set the policies up? No, it's just a bonus. The liquidity that the money we have access to right off the bat, if you set the policy up correctly, I had access to about 90% of my money in the form of a policy loan within 30 days, which I took to purchase my vehicle. So, but every time I take a policy loan, that money is still growing inside of my policy because I borrowed the life insurance company's money. I'm going to have to pay a little bit of interest on it. Yes, that's another reason why people say this is a scam. It's absolutely not. It's just a fundamental misunderstanding of how money works. And I've got a video that I've done in full detail about why it absolutely makes sense to pay a little bit of interest to borrow against your cash value to let it continue to get uninterrupted compound growth while you do whatever investing or whatever purchase you're going to make over here. It absolutely makes sense. But people, when people say that it's a scam because you're paying interest to borrow your own money, that is not true. You're borrowing the life insurance company's money. And even if the interest rate that you're paying on the policy loan is more or higher than what you're earning in the policy, let's say 4%, and you borrow at 5.5%, when you hear people like Dave Ramsey and people like I just showed you in the comments, I'm sure he would say that doesn't make sense. That's a scam. You're paying more interest than what you're earning. Why on earth would you do that? You don't know the difference between compound interest and simple interest. That's it. And I've done a full video on this, guys. It absolutely makes sense. You could pay 8% interest on your policy loan, only earn 4%, and in the same time frame, as long as you're paying that loan back, you'll actually be ahead by $2. I actually did the math on this. You'll be ahead $2 at the end of 5 years. The example I did was when I purchased my vehicle. That's the difference between compound and simple interest. That's one of the benefits that we get, one of the incredible benefits that we get with these policies. You have all the tax advantages. The money, the cash value grows tax deferred. You can access it tax free, assuming you don't mech the policy, you set it up right, etc. You utilize it properly. So you have a ton of tax advantages, not to mention the legacy play here, the death benefit. I mean, you're as soon as you get a life insurance policy, guys, your net worth has skyrocketed. Okay. Because that is going to be passed on to your beneficiaries tax-free, income tax-free, and it's going to continue to grow throughout the life of the policy as well. So we're talking about a huge net worth and legacy play that you're passing on to your loved ones, the financial protection that your loved ones get. If something were to happen to you during your working years, right, they will be taken care of. The living benefits, where if you were to get diagnosed with a chronic or terminal illness, you have access to a large portion of that death benefit, usually income tax-free, that you can use for whatever treatment you need, whatever care that you need, that you decide is going to be best for you, that maybe long-term care insurance won't cover, your health insurance won't cover, right? It gives you options. It gives you control. It gives you power. It empowers you to make the best decision for you in your life. So, there's tons of benefits that we get from these things. I'm not going to go through all of them. Those are just a few of the big ones for me. But at the end of the day, like something that provides so many benefits to us, especially when set up properly, how on earth is that a scam? Like when I learned how these policies work, it was a no-brainer to me. Like I'm ready to go, man. As soon as I understood the product, not when I found out about it, because there's a lot of conflicting information out there. You have to understand how these things work. Only then can you decide if it makes sense for you. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe buy term and invest the difference, put money into your 401k. Maybe that's what makes sense, or maybe both. Like this is an and asset. You don't have to choose one or the other, right? But that's why, guys, work with people that know what they're talking about. They provide actual facts. They provide information on both sides of the conversation here. Not people that are just so quick to say that something is a scam, because it's just a tool, guys. It comes down to how you utilize it in your life and whether or not it makes sense for your goals. So anyways, I'll wrap up with that. Make sure you check out that video, go through all the comments if you want to be entertained for a few minutes, because it was a fun conversation. I hope this was helpful to you guys. If you have any questions, drop some comments down below. Let me know what those are. Make sure you subscribe, come out with this stuff all the time. Check out all the links in the description. Lots of really good training on infinite banking, life insurance, all that good stuff, and how it can benefit your life. All right, if it makes sense for you. So I hope you guys are crushing it, and I will talk to you in the next one. To your success, Matty Ice is out.